The United States Army is not what you say. It's how you behave. It's where you are and you place yourself on the battlefield. And in a second, he's going to talk about this great soldier, where he placed himself on this battlefield in this one moment for a couple hours as he was in the middle of a firefight. You know, Brandon received the ARCOM with valor. That little V that goes on there, very few of those go out to anybody. They go out there for a reason. And the first sergeant's going to talk about that in a second. What I know of Brandon, and I've talked to his battalion commanders, company commanders, brigade commander, I talked to the first sergeant. I was out there in the training at Fort Bliss when Brandon was out there training, getting ready to go. That's kind of what I'm responsible as the deputy commanding general for operations and training and getting him ready to go into combat. He was a hard-charging, skilled scout. Now, if you're in a recon platoon, you're just not in no infantry platoon. The recon platoon is the best platoon in the entire battalion.
Cool.
And to become part of that battalion, you have to try out. And you have to be somebody. You have to have potential. Because that platoon is always the one that's out in front of everybody. And Brandon was part of that platoon. And the Alpha team. M240 Bravo gunner. And I'm an infantryman just like Brandon. And I love that machine gun. He was a hero on the battlefield. Now, someone tried to tell me he was laid back in California. I don't know what that means to be laid back in California. But I can tell you from what I read and what I saw of this great soldier, he may act like he was laid back, but when it was time to switch it on, he switched it on. And he was ready to go. And he did his job. As his brother said, he recently re-enlisted. First sergeant said, well, what do you want? Do you want more money? What do you want for re-enlistment? I mean, what do you want? What do you want to do? And all Brandon wanted to do was go to the United States Army Ranger School and be a sniper. Probably the two hardest schools in the United States Army I can attest to, being a Ranger myself. 58 days, you lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds. It's an incredible challenge of leadership. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to do something hard. He didn't want to sit back and watch. And to be a sniper is incredible. And I'm sure he would have done fine, and that's what he would have been. So, you know, Brandon's part of this great battalion called the Spartans. You guys know the Spartans, right? You ever heard of Spartans? We've watched 300. Talks about Leonidas and the great 300, turn on the Persians, the hordes of Persians, those 300 great soldiers. Brandon was part of that battalion, of that Spartan battalion. We are Sparta. Elite fighting unit. And that was the nickname of that battalion. He made the difficult tasks look easy. Now that's from his battalion commander. And the first sergeant will talk about the battalion commander because that was the firefight he was in, was protecting his battalion commander. Courageous under fire. Not everybody has that. I've seen it. 50 months of combat. Some people, they get all amped up. Other people, they level out. They see more clearly, everything's slow, and they can figure it out. That's Brandon. That's what he means by courageous under fire. And this whole brother thing, man, it's unbelievable. Treated all in his recon platoon as brothers. So, if you guys ever remember this St. Crispian Day, the Battle of Agincourt, from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that shed his blood with me shall be my brother forever. And I'm sure when you're a young man in a platoon, you're right. You know, all these great plans, fighting for our country and securing our country. When you're fighting as a young man in a platoon, all you're fighting for is your buddy. You're fighting for your brother each and every day, just to get through that. Just to get through it because it's pretty tough. So with that, I'd like to real quickly turn over to the first sergeant who's going to read the narrative to the ARCOM with B device, and I'll come back and say a couple more points about this great hero. Come on up here, first sergeant.
My condolences go out to the family. Very heartfelt moment for the soldiers and his brothers in arms that are still there. I was in Iraq, in Afghanistan until 5 days ago, so I flew in. And it's a heartfelt moment across the battalion and across the Army. Specialist Brandon J. Prescott. Specialist Brandon J. Prescott, United States Army, distinguished himself by exceptionally valiant conduct as a rifleman and recon platoon, headquarters and headquarters company, 1st Battalion, 36th Infantry Regiment, 1st Brigade Combat Team on 29 March 2013. During Operation Fierce Leopard 2, Spartan 6 was attacked with an improvised explosive device, wounding 4 soldiers. Recon platoon was tasked with escorting a record to recover the vehicle to Fort Azizula. Taliban forces were effectively engaging soldiers attempting to assess the casualties and assist in recovery operations. Specialist Prescott was an air guard on the recon lead vehicle, which was maneuvered directly between the vehicle and the enemy fire, where the vehicle was struck by an IED, effectively shielding the wounded soldiers and the soldiers' attempt to conduct self-recovery on the ground. Specialist Prescott identified and engaged enemy machine gun positions with precise 240 Bravo machine gun fire within moments of securing the downed vehicle, even while receiving accurate enemy fire, killing one enemy and wounding another, confirmed by the recon sniper high-powered scouts and later by the air weapons team. Whoa. Specialist Prescott's unyielding courage in the face of danger dealt a crippling blow to the enemy initial offensive attack and allowed ISAF the time to recover the disabled vehicle and treat the wounded soldiers. An RPG team was in place specifically to neutralize Specialist Prescott striker in the attempt for the enemy forces to develop and disable the vehicles. Specialist Prescott dismounted under heavy enemy RPG fire with 4 rounds of RPG striking 30 meters from his position. The enemy also viciously attacked Specialist Prescott with machine gun fire directly at the slowing, dropping ramp of the striker. Specialist Prescott quickly pushed toward the beating zone of the fire and established an attack by fire position in addition to heavy mounted remote weapon system on the striker. Specialist Prescott immediately engaged and neutralized enemy RPG counter-assault with deadly 240 Bravo fire. That is the citation for his all-con with valor. What I'll tell you is that his actions that day saved other soldiers' lives and allowed them to be able to fight and stay there now. Thank you.
All we can do is lose it. People like me, old generals, all we do is lose it. It's the non-commissioned officers and the soldiers that are the blood treasure of this country. It's not It's not the tanks and the Bradleys and all the artillery and all the money. It's the 18 and 19-year-old kid that volunteers to join the Army, know he's going to fight and may not come back. It's the non-commissioned officers that train them. They're the blood treasure of our country. So as you lay your head down tonight, they're the blood treasure. This is the strength of our country. So in closing, before I do the awards, there's some quote from some old general, it's not me, but it's some general that said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who have died. Rather, we should thank God that such men like Brendan Prescott actually lived." So we'll get down there. I think we're going to do the awards now, sir. So God bless Brandon, God bless his great family, God bless this great community, and God bless the United States of America, the greatest country in the world.